share my presentation there. So welcome everyone, and thanks for joining this webinar today. If you're registered for this webinar, I guess you are interested in the MSc in digital marketing, and I hope to see many of you in our physical classroom, if possible, in September. So the idea today is to give you an overview of the course, how they're structured, what you can expect, and also to leave some time for a Q&A at the end, so that we're trying to address as many questions as possible. So just a bit of background on myself, just to introduce myself a bit more. So I'm assistant professor in business analytics here in DCU Business School, and I'm also the program chair for the program. My research interests move from data analytics to social media, cybersecurity, and more generally around estimating the business value of information technology. You can find the contact details here in this slide, so feel free to take note of those and to get in touch after the webinar if you want to, if you still have questions that haven't been answered, or if you need more information about the program. So our program is fully dedicated to digital marketing and was ranked among the top 50 masters in marketing worldwide in 2020. What makes us particularly proud of this result was that among those 50 masters, only 4 were specifically dedicated to digital marketing, and ours was one of the best performers, definitely. So it's a very specialized master, and it's fully dedicated to digital marketing. So if you're interested in marketing more general, well, there is a bit of it, but it's fully dedicated to digital. How is the course structured? I might say we are working on a slightly different structure for next year, but regardless of the titles of the different modules, or say the number of modules that you see, the topics will be pretty much the same. But this is a structure that you can expect or close to it. So there will be a module. So all the modules, most of them will be 10 credit modules. So essentially they will run for the entire year, from September to April, across over 2 semesters. In digital marketing mechanics, you will look at the mechanics of marketing, and specifically like how to do paid advertising, how to do the SEO, a very technical SEO as well. And that's probably one of our strengths of our program, where we go very deep into the search engine optimization. Digital advertising communication, it's more about the advertising part, and is also part of the content marketing and so on. So it's more about creating the contents and how to push them out there. Digital marketing and new business management. In this module, you will learn essentially how to create a digital marketing plan, and also there will be a more general management angle around this module. So the idea is that you get to know you get to learn some of the basic skills essentially for managers. Then strategic thinking and marketing strategy, as the title says, will be focusing more on the strategy side of things. So there will be a part on reflective thinking and strategic thinking, and half of the module will then be dedicated to marketing strategies more specifically. So what kind of strategies and tactics you can implement to achieve different objectives. Then there is apply web design and development. In this module, we learn how to essentially create websites, which might be also e-commerce enabled, using WordPress, and how to optimize them from a technical perspective, and how to conduct usability tests, advanced usability tests, I would say. And finally, there is a full module dedicated to data analytics and marketing metrics. So in this module, you will start with the refreshment of statistics, and then you will move all the way to learning a bit of a programming language like R, to learn data visualization techniques and tools like Tableau, for example, and how these tools can be applied to digital marketing and marketing decisions. And all these modules will essentially sum up to 60 credits. And of course, in order for you to get the master, you will need another 30 credits, which are attached to a research methods course and an individual dissertation or a group practicum. And this essentially counts for 30 credits. And I would spend a bit of time there regarding the practicum, because some people might not be familiar with this kind of project. Group practicum essentially is a client. It's a real life project with a client, in an industry client, and in that project, essentially, the group will need to define the scope of the project and to conduct a primary research activity for the external client. That typically covers from February to mid-May, end of May, more or less. And then over the 2 months between June and July, the group should do applied activities which are related to the primary research part that they conducted. So essentially what you learned in the first part of the project, you need to apply in the second part. And since this year, we also introduced a third option, which we are testing at the moment. So hopefully we work out well, and we will offer that again next year. But the idea is to have somewhere in between these two options. Okay, so the idea is to have sort of an individual practicum, if you want, where essentially an individual student would be assigned to an external client to conduct a piece of primary research, and then to conduct a 4-week internship during in June or July. Who might be teaching you? This might be the teaching team or part of it, or might not be the case. Of course, our modules are not allocated at the moment. For next year, not allocated yet. But regardless of the names, okay, that you see here, the idea is that all the teaching team will be very used to work with companies around digital marketing and will be very hands-on. And that's a key characteristic of our program. You end up working with lots of different clients, and every single module will have a client project, and every single module will have applied elements to that. And we, as a teaching team, we want to make sure that we are always up to speed in terms of what the employers require, and so that we update all our slides, our content every year, just to make sure that we deliver up-to-date content that you can actually benefit from. But regardless of the actual lectures, we also bring in a number of industry experts throughout the year across different modules. And the idea with this in order to give you as much exposure as possible to real life experience. And essentially these people agree to come and speak to our events, to our students, and to share essentially what their experience is around a specific topic, or more generally what their career path has been like, and what kind of challenges and what kind of tips they can provide you. Just to give you an idea, this year we're running a series of 6 virtual mini conferences. So far, we still have 1 mini conference to go, and we had something like 51 or 53 different speakers that essentially our students benefit from, and we'll have other 10 or more. So we definitely get over 60 speakers that we brought in just for our class. In terms of entry requirements, in order to be eligible for the program, you will need to have an honors degree with a 2.1, an overall mark of 2.1 or higher in a business discipline, or a 2-1 in a relevant non-business discipline, like maybe, for example, journalism, communication, and so on. Although it's always beneficial to say, definitely, if you have a degree for the non-business or non-relevant business discipline, and non-relevant non-business discipline, you might need at least 5 years of work experience to meet the entry requirements. And the reason is that our program is, as I said, is very specialized, and it's very intense, and it's 1 year only. So it starts very quickly, and we don't have time to cover the basic business knowledge, essentially. If you are an international candidate coming from a non-native, essentially from a non-English country, non-English speaking country, you will probably need to meet another entry requirements, which is another entry requirement, which is related to proficiency in the English language. This essentially means that you will need to provide a IELTS, the results of a IELTS test with a overall score no less than 7 and no less than 6 in each individual component, or a Duolingo. I think for this year we are still accepting Duolingo tests with a minimum score of 120. I would also probably might be worth saying that if you completed your bachelor degree in English even in a non-English speaking country, you might be exempt from that requirement. Should you enroll for the program, you'll be assessed 100% with continuous assessment. So there are no exams, but you would have regular assignments throughout the year for each module. So on average, I think you can expect something like within semester an assignment every 10, 12 days, more or less. Some of them will be quite small, some of them will be a bit more demanding, but that's more or less that's what you can expect. And roughly we have a 70% individual assessment and 30% group across all the modules. The important thing is that we value essentially the theoretical element or the more academic elements of each assignment at the same level as the applied elements or the more practical insights. So that's something that you might be just good to know and to keep in mind. As I mentioned earlier, all the modules will have a client project. So we end up working with lots of external companies, real life companies. Most of them will be small and medium enterprises, and some of them might be even startups. But the idea there is to give you to get you used to work with companies and to see what the real life environment in a digital marketing role might look like. In order to complete the program, you will need to pass all the modules, not all the assessments, but all the modules. So there is no compensation. So you need to reach at least a 40% mark on all the modules. If you fail one or more modules, you must repeat the assignments over the summer or repeat the entire module the following year if you failed it again. You might also it might be good to know essentially if you have also the option to exit with a lesser reward, and there are 2 options here. So if you collect 30 credits, which equates to 3 modules, you can exit with a graduate certificate in digital marketing. While if you collect 60 credits, which are essentially 6 modules, you can exit with a grad diploma in digital marketing. And then, of course, the 90 credits would be the master. I asked past students to share some tips, essentially. I asked them, say, what would you say to students who are thinking about enrolling for the program or just starting? And this is some of the quotes that they said, some of the recommendations. So be curious, be self-motivated, and be hungry to learn. Go for it. Excellent course, but needs hard work. To be prepared for sleepless nights. Be fully committed. Days off is not really a thing. To start early. Don't leave things to the last moment. Don't be afraid to ask questions and ask other students if you need help and so on. So you get the general idea. There are some recurring themes, and one of them is definitely that the course will require hard work, and we don't hide the fact that it's a very demanding course. It's very demanding from a lots of different perspectives, starting from client work, which of course puts some pressure on students, but also in terms of the amount of content that we cover and so on. So my advice is, if you want to start the program, make sure that you are fully committed to it and you are ready to put the hours into it, because otherwise you might be struggling. On the other end, the recurring theme as well is that once you get to the end of the program, you definitely appreciate all the things that you learn, and you will see the difference compared to students coming from other programs around the country. And time management is also very, very important. As I said, there will be assessment every 10, 12 days, more or less. So if you decide to enroll for the program, make sure that you are ready to start since day one, because the assessments will start early and then will keep coming. So if you don't manage your time properly, then you'll be rushing and your mark will be affected by, you'll be negatively affected. We try to also to integrate classroom time with additional activities, and when possible, okay, of course we couldn't do this last year and we could do this year, but we look forward to go back and organize student trips. So this just to give you an idea of, this is the one on the left essentially has a picture of us at the Great Wall in China. The second one, we were doing bashing in the Emirates, in UAE. And then the one on the right, we were visiting Rome and some companies around around the area. So we try to integrate and to do something, say, to combine learning opportunities with some more relaxing activities when doing these trips. And hopefully we will be able to organize 1 or 2 trips next year, but we still, of course, for obvious reasons, we can't make any promise to that. Where do our graduates go to work? Well, the short answer is a bit in every sector, essentially. So we have graduates working in DCU. So some of them are working with us, and some of them are working in DCU more generally. But also we have graduates working in large multinationals like maybe Google, Facebook, Twitter, financial services companies like maybe Barclays, Slack, tech companies again like Symantec, and so on. But also we also have companies working in marketing agencies, large marketing agencies like maybe Wolfgang. There are definitely lots of alumni there. And small and medium enterprises. But the idea is that, see, the good thing of how we design the program is that you learn how to be a digital marketer, regardless of the sector that you end up working in. So you will have the tools, techniques, and the procedures and the processes to market any sort of product or service, really. So that's probably on the good side. I mean, that's probably a very positive outcome from our perspective, because our students, our graduates, tend to find jobs very quickly. So this is just to give you an idea of previous classes, but you got a general idea. They go a bit, let's say, they go and work a bit everywhere, essentially. I would also add, not only in Ireland, but around the world. And DCU ranks 19 in the world for graduate employment rate. That's something we are very proud of. And our, particularly in the business school, we have an employment rate which is very close to 100%, which is 97% according to the last graduate outcome survey. And I would also add our program is definitely one of those programs that contributes to that result. I don't have a figure for last year, but the year before, essentially pre-COVID, by the time we got to the, I remember by the time we got to the practicum interviews for the practicum presentation in August, around 60% of the class were already, had already found a job, or they were at the advanced stage, interview stage with different companies. And I think that was an excellent result. But there's something we see pretty much every year. So thank you very much for attending the webinar so far. The business school might be in contact with you to inform you about next events or more information about scholarships, how to apply, and so on. So keep an eye on your inbox or on social channels to make sure that you don't miss any important news. And now I'd be happy to take any questions that you might have.